Call this meeting to order. Clerk of the board, may I have a roll call?
Freeholder Carter. Freeholder Estrada. Freeholder Granados.
Present.
Freeholder Hudak.
Here.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Here.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Present.
Freeholder Wright.
Present.
Vice Chairman Bergen.
Present.
And Chairman Jallo.
Here.
Freeholder, you have 7 freeholders present.
Thank you. Clerk of the board, could you please lead us in a prayer and salute to the flag?
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk of the board, would you please read the statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act?
The chair wishes to announce that pursuant to requirements of New Jersey statutes annotated Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2015, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances, to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2015 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2015 with the Office of the County Clerk.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the communications?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Freeholder Mirabella, seconded by Freeholder Granados. Clerk of the board, may I have a roll call?
Freeholder Granados.
Here. Yes, sorry.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Aye.
Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bergen.
Yes.
And Chairman Jallo.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 7 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. This meeting is now open to the public for the purpose of commenting on resolutions being offered for adoption only. Kindly state your name and town of residence for the record and the resolution to which you are referring, and adhere to the 5-minute time limit.
Is this for Railway Park?
You can only speak on resolutions being offered for adoption. There is nothing with Rawway Park on this resolution. There will be an opportunity for you to speak on Rawway Park later on in the meeting. Thank you. Anyone speaking on resolutions being offered for adoption?
Good evening, Chair Jala, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, Garwood. On page 1, going into page 2, these are resolutions number 809 all the way to 814. They total up $500,000. They're modifying the budget. I'm leading to this. But anyway, I'm just wondering, is this actually offsetting something where the taxpayers are going to be saving this $500,000, or is it already an encumbrance in the budget that was passed earlier this year? Somebody could answer that, please. Number 817 on page 2 in the middle. It's additional allocation of $140,000 to TransDev for the provision of paratransit services. And I guess just a question whether this is the company, is this the same company that had a contract with us when in Roselle Park a disabled young man fell out of the emergency door and died? And I guess the subsequent question would be, there was a lawsuit about that, McLeod versus County of Union. This is a couple of years ago, but I'm just wondering, I never saw a resolution to that. I'm just wondering, what is the resolution from that lawsuit where the young disabled boy fell out and died? Number 820, it has to do with Somerset County Co-op, use of contracts. I guess the Union County's going into the co-op with voice communications, and one of the directors said $50,000 savings per month, and that, as a taxpayer, I do appreciate it, so thank you very much on that. Number 826, this wasn't, I didn't see this on last week's agenda setting meeting, but it's reallocating $445,000 from City of Elizabeth Parker's Walk project to Parker's Walk urban renewal. I guess, is that just a name change, or Or what exactly is this about? If somebody could just explain that. Page 4, number 833 and 834 together, I'm going to combine it. And this I mentioned once before. It looks like you're entering in a collective bargaining agreement with PBA 199 and also the Nurses HPAE Local 5112, both collective bargaining agreement. If somebody could come up here and just explain what, in these collective bargaining agreements, what are the health benefits? Are they similar or if they're different? Please explain the health benefits that these collective bargaining units are getting. In particular, I'm just always wondering about the health benefits for life. That seemed to be an issue many years ago with the non-contractuals. And, number 842, that's the last one. A resolution commending William Fish McCoy on his many years of service, and I do know him, from coming to these meetings all these years. I would also like to say good luck in your future retirement. And he was always there, happy face. The times I got tossed out and taken down to the front foyer, he was always there to commiserate with me. So thank you very much.
809 to 814, Director Taylor, you can please. Question with regard to whether or not this amount is offsetting any amount or if it was anticipated in the budget.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. The resolutions modifying the 2015 budget are new items to include these sources of revenue into the 2015 budget. They do not impact the taxes as established when the budget was adopted.
Thank you. Director Guzzo, there was a question of whether or not this paratransit agency or this agency was the same agency as the one referenced in the litigation, I suppose, or the same provider from before.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think that the incident that the speaker was referring to was probably more 8 to 9 years ago. That was my recollection. And if that's the time frame we're dealing with, we've had this company providing those services for that period of time, yes. In terms of the resolution, I can't recall, maybe county council.
Right, and I'm not sure if that's relevant to
Right.
the actual resolution that's on for today. So we'll move to the next one. Next question, 826, Director Reyes. There was a question as to whether or not this was a name change only.
Through you, Chairman, yes, it was a name change only.
Thank you very much. 833 and 834, Director Albert. There was a question as to the health benefits. Again, I'm not sure if that's relevant to what's going on in this resolution, but if you can address it for the benefit of the public.
I'll give it a shot. Chairman, thank you through you. The health benefits in these collective bargaining agreements are the same plans that all exclusionaries and all units have. We provide comprehensive health benefits, hospitalization, well care.
Right. Okay. Thank you very kindly, and I'll be sure to pass on the speaker's well wishes to Mr. McCoy. Anyone else wishing to speak on items being offered for resolution?
John Berry of Kenilworth. And I've got two question and a comment that haven't been touched on. First is 819. That's about this, the Max in Springfield, and it's supposed to be for physical nutritional services to the UC Sheriff's Office and County of Union employees. This thing's right next to my office, and it just opened up a year or two ago, and it's a gym, like Bally's or LA Fitness. It also happens to be like half a mile away from Sheriff Cryan's house, if the address on his last police report is accurate. And I don't know if they do anything specialized. Basically the question is this for gym memberships for the sheriff's office or Union County employees who want them? And it looks like 40,000 would cover maybe 200 or so, and 60 would be 300. And it seems like an issue that maybe more people signed up than we're supposed to, But is it gym memberships, or if not, what is this for? And the other thing is on this 836. That's supporting Planned Parenthood and all they do. And this is where I just kind of want to make the point that the entire board is on board with this resolution, whereas in the rest of the country, and I don't want to get into details, basically this is an abortion resolution, and you're voting for it, but there are a lot of people, and they even almost closed down the federal government because of this, who are against it. And it kind of points up that, the unanimity of this board. It's really just one person. There are maybe 200,000 people in Union County who would be opposed to this resolution, maybe 50,000 strongly, and they have no voice up there. And more generally, it's a complicated issue, but Catholics would be against this too. I don't know if there are any Catholics up there, but Catholics are represented by the Pope, who speaks for God and who was mentioned as we started this meeting. So it just seems bizarre to, this is a resolution that God would probably oppose. I mean, if you take the Pope's word for this kind of stuff. So I think if anybody ever says that this board speaks for a lot of people, speaks for everybody, is represented well, I think this is a perfect resolution to show, that is not particularly the case. Okay, so that wasn't really a question. Just the first one was the question.
Thank you. I'll call up Undersheriff Agreed to address the first question. Don't vote against God.
Evening, Chairman, rest of the Freeholder Board. In regards to the question for the max challenge for the Sheriff's Office, it's because of the increased participation. The max challenge is held here at the county. Court classes are in the morning and also during the lunchtime period. Is there any other?
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption only?
Pat Moschetti, New Providence. Good evening. I'm looking at Resolution 809, page 1, where there's a modification to the 2015 budget for $70,000 from New Jersey Transit for a program entitled Job Access Reverse Commute. So is New Jersey Transit giving Union County money for services? And are the New Jersey Transit riders subsidizing this activity? There is the first 5 or 6 resolutions, 7, have the term modifying in it. A resolution modifying the budget, modifying the budget, modifying the budget. Chairman, can you please ask the board clerk to explain what the reason for the word modification is, or modifying? I believe it's a state-given term, and why they use that instead of negative 50,000 or positive 50,000. If he could research that and tell us at a later board meeting, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe the majority of the question.
816 is referring to applying for and obtaining a grant for the CWA administration of the 2016 Universal Services Fund. So if someone could please explain what CWA stands for, and what is the objective of the Universal Service Fund in terms of Union County. 817, next resolution, we're including an additional allocation amount of $140,000 for this contract year to TransDev with the continued provision of paratransit services. So my question here is, was this in the 2015 budget? If not, how are we paying for it now? Resolution 818. It's assignment of Diana Yost, or Youst, I'm not sure how you say that, Acting Superintendent, Union County Juvenile Detention Center for this year in the amount not to exceed a little more than $158,000. Question here, is that her salary only? Is it salary and benefits? Is it salary, benefits, and other perks such as use of a Union County car? 819, where you'd explained that just before, so I'll pass that. That's a 50% increase in the activity, so I hope we have a lot of in-shape people. 820, here's a resolution to providing voice communications for the County of Union for the year, not to exceed $700,000, and we're increasing it by $200,000. So you do the math. We apparently started at $500,000. Now we're asking for $200,000 more. That is a 40% increase for this one particular area of the budget. And where's the money coming from? 826. Has to do with the City of Elizabeth, some walk project, money going from A to B. Can someone just explain what is being accomplished there by this resolution? 827. Going to utilize $700,000 in Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act grant to help in the form of individual training contracts. So the question here is, how many people will this help train? And what is the objective of the organization in terms of those employed versus those that are trained at the outcome of the activity for the $700,000? And that is it for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Director Teller to come up again. I know you already answered with regard to some of the questions that the speaker asked with regard to modifying. There was a question as to, the terminology. I think that's standard. That's what we've been using. You can expand upon that if you have an answer to that.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, indeed, the language modifying the budget is a state language that is required for all Chapter 159s, which are items to accept special items of revenue into your budget so that you can utilize them.
Okay. And there was a specific a question as to the New Jersey Transit program as to whether or not that's coming into the budget.
All of these funds are positive items of revenue, anticipating revenues into the budget.
Thank you, Director. Director Guzzo, with regard to 816, can you speak on the CWA, what the organization is, et cetera?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, CWA stands for County Welfare Agency, and the dollar amount listed there is an administrative fee that we use to offset a salary for employees that help administer that program. As you would know, that program provides heat energy assistance for people with low income to help them heat their homes during the winter months. So that's just an administrative allowance that they give us to offset someone's salary for processing people, making sure that they're eligible for that program.
Thank you. 817, there was a question as to the organization Trans Dev and the services they provide.
They are our paratransit provider. That specific resolution speaks to the Route 22 shuttle that allows people to safely navigate Route 22 for jobs. And I think that program is probably about 7 or 8 years old in its continuing funding. And I think there was one more on
818.
Okay.
Yep.
That's for the superintendent of the detention center?
That's correct.
That is a combination of salary and fringe benefits. It is, we pay Hudson County because it's under an agreement. I will note that it is less than the established salary set for the superintendent, so we are paying the superintendent at the Hudson County rate, and it includes all fringe benefits.
Thank you. For the record, I'll note that 819 and 820 were statements. There was a question with regard to 826. Deputy County Manager, if you can please respond to that.
Thank you, Chairman. 826, basically what it's doing is taking the two previous resolutions, which we had an agreement with the City of Elizabeth, and converting those two resolutions into a resolution that now has an agreement with the direct project, which is to create low-income housing. So this way it eliminates multiple contracts.
Thank you. And 827.
827, approximately 175 people will be trained, and the training includes anything from CDLs to medical billing coding, through a bunch of different certificates. And the point of the program is to train people and give them certifications in the careers that they can then go out and look for jobs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption? Seeing no one else, I'll formally close this portion of the meeting. May I have a motion to adopt resolutions 2015-809 through 2015-841?
So moved.
Moved by Freeholder Kowalski, seconded by Freeholder Mirabella. Clerk of the board, may I have a roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry. Freeholder Granados?
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak?
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski?
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella?
Aye.
Freeholder Wright?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bergen?
Aye.
And Chairman Jallo.
Aye.
Chairman, and that was for resolutions through 2015-842. Correct?
That is correct. 842.
Thank you.
Thank you for the correction. How many votes do we have in the affirmative? You can-
My apologies, 7 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. This meeting is now open to the public to comment on any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of the concern to residents of the county. Kindly state your name and town of residence for the record and adhere to the 5-minute time limit.
Thomas Smith, 56 Parkway Drive, Clark. I've been a resident for 42 years. This is in reference to the stadium in Rawway Park. There's 2 issues here. It's the park itself, and the other issue is the stadium. In reference to the stadium, it's going to cause tremendous noise. It's going to cause tremendous congestion with traffic, and it's going to affect the surrounding neighborhoods throughout the area. Also, one of the things I started saying the last time I was at this meeting is that there were 4 nations that conquered the world. The first nation was the Babylonian nation. The second nation was the Persian nation. The third one was the Greek nation. The fourth one was the Roman nation. The Babylonian Empire was conquered by the Persians. The Greeks conquered the Persians. The Romans conquered the Greeks. Rome was never conquered. Rome fell apart within itself for 5 reasons. The first reason, high taxes. The second reason is the dissipation of religion. The third reason is sports, along with pleasure. The fourth reason is families started breaking apart. The fifth reason is too big of an armament. That is the condition that we're in today. We have left the Lord, and what we're doing is we're worshiping sports and pleasure. Getting back to Rawway Park, since 1925, I believe the Lord, through his people, have kept this pristine sanctuary for the people. The people who are under tremendous pressure, stress, and anxiety, they can come to this pristine sanctuary. It is my opinion that in the event that you take this stadium and you put it in the middle of this park, it will be lost for that word, but it'll be an abomination to the Lord. I would consider that during your opening session prayer the next time we talk about the subject. I have nothing more to say.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Good evening. Julie Holzer, 33 Emerson Road in Clark. This also has to do with, as we are greatly concerned over the proposal to build a stadium in Union County's Raway Park, located in Raway, New Jersey. The purpose of the stadium would be the benefit of Raway's high school's football team. This proposed stadium will feature high stadium lights, stadium sound system, aluminum bleachers for 1,200 people, 3 full-size freestanding buildings for bathrooms and concession stands. Before any building takes place, it is imperative that the following fact sheet be reviewed by everyone involved with this project, as well as all the citizens affected directly or indirectly by this sports arena. There are multiple of homes back-to-back, as well as apartment buildings lining the inside of the park along the perimeters from one end to the other. And then, of course, there are a vast number of private homes on Valley Road and St. George Avenue. The closest cluster of homes to the proposed stadium is exactly 27 feet. The majority of homes located in the park are approximately 50 to 110 feet. All homes mentioned are well under a quarter of a mile from the proposed stadium. There is absolutely no question that this proposed stadium will predictably bring with it the following health hazards, especially to the people who live in such close proximity, and particularly those already suffering health issues. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency defines noise as unwanted or disturbing sound. The major side effects of noise pollution are serious and sometimes surprising. Excessive noise can lead to a whole host of serious health problems. These include coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, stress-related health conditions such as migraines, colitis, and ulcers, decreased sleep and sleep quality. Excessive noise can lead to emotional problems such as mental fatigue, anxiety, and aggression. Another common effect of loud sound on the hearing is tinnitus. Tinnitus is ringing, buzzing, or other sounds in the ear. The leading cause of hearing loss is not aging, but noise. The intensity of the noise volume will increase tremendously by honking horns, car traffic, whistles, loudspeakers, screaming, cheering fans and players, loud music, cheerleaders, and possibly a marching band. Noise levels are measured in decibels. The higher the decibel level, the louder the noise. Sounds that are louder than 85 decibels can cause permanent hearing loss. Noise is generally harmful and a serious health hazard. That comes from the Language and Hearing Association. Cheering fans can push level well into the hundreds. At these levels, it takes between 1 and 15 minutes for the sound to damage your ears. The average football game lasts nearly 3 hours, with noise levels inching toward painful as the excitement increases. The damage is cumulative. The immediate and acute effect of repeated exposure to noise pollution is impairment of hearing. Speaking at the 21st International Congress of Zoology held at the University of Haifa, Israel, Professor Abraham Haim, a leading authority on light pollution, says exposure to light at night affects a circadian rhythm in humans, animals, and plants. Circadian, excuse me for that. Disruption of this natural cycle can result in various illnesses and adverse symptoms. Professor Haim presented data from an animal study showing the adverse effects of exposure to light at night, in which the animals showed varying levels of damage to their metabolic rates, hormone production, body mass, and oxygen consumption following exposure, as well as suppressed levels of melatonin production, which is responsible for tumor growth. Melatonin is a compound that adjusts our biological clock and is known for its antioxidant and anti-cancer properties. Also, it is a fact that suppressing the production of melatonin.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
comments.
Right here.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Right there.
The fact that, I'm sorry. Alice Fernandez, Clark, New Jersey. Also, the fact that suppressing the production of melatonin, which is responsible, among other things, for the regulation of our biological clock, causes behavioral disruptions and health problems. In its absence, a person can suffer from chronic fatigue. When people are exposed to frequent artificial light and they do not get enough sleep, melatonin levels are suppressed. Some forms of cancer are thought to be related to melatonin levels. Exposure to even small amounts of stadium lighting can interfere with your body's production of melatonin, which helps regulate your sleep-wake cycle. So light and noise pollution as it relates to sleep deprivation. Sleep disorders and chronic sleep loss can put you at risk for heart disease, heart attack, heart failure, irregular heartbeat, high blood pressure, stroke, diabetes. One night of interrupted sleep wreaks havoc on your mood and energy levels. Small shifts in your sleep cycle may make or break your health. Just one night of interrupted sleep is all it takes to make you feel more depressed, fatigued, and confused, according to new research. But much more than that, sleep deprivation has virtually the same effect on your immune system as physical stress or illness. I want to go on to about the traffic. Increased traffic and parking, what that's going to do. The massive increase in traffic and parking will be a nightmare. Sporting events will draw Broadway students, family, friends, out-of-towners, and buses. It is inevitable that when there are so many people, so many cars, and not enough parking spaces, major issues are bound to occur. Some are as follows. Security will definitely be needed to control out-of-hand situations which might arise when a number of young people are gathering in one place. Union County Police will definitely be needed to direct a few hundred cars converging on Broadway Park when games are held. There is only one entrance exit on Valley Road and another entrance exit on St. George's Avenue. If an emergency should occur, ambulances may have problems getting in and out of the park. Additional park attendants will be needed to clean up the stadium as well as the park from litter and trash. People who use the park will be lucky if they can get a place to park during game time. Above all, the increase in car pollution and noise will be intolerable. So to summarize all of the above, noise pollution, light pollution, traffic, and parking, it is apparent that more problems will be created than solved, especially since Broadway River Park is densely populated with homes. Now, no one is objecting to putting a stadium for Broadway High School students to play football. What we are objecting to is location. Specifically, Union County's Broadway River Park. As stated above, it will impact the health and well-being of all those living around the park. Also, the park is utilized and enjoyed by an enormous number of people of all ages, from babies to seniors. It is quite obvious from the facts that the greater good is being served when people of all ages are enjoying a multitude of activities on a daily basis. In addition, if this proposal were to take place, the entire ecosystem, which is so thoroughly enjoyed by numerous people, is in jeopardy. Sadly, once destroyed, it is gone forever. And I want to close by saying I was here at this last meeting, and I asked 3 times about putting this issue on the ballot and how do I go about it. No one answered me, and I think that's deplorable. I mean, I'm a taxpayer, and as a taxpayer, we pay your salary. So, I mean, how do you not communicate to people who are talking and addressing issues? We had one, and this goes for everybody who got up and talked about the park. Everybody sat silent. Nobody even answered. I just want to say, one person asked a very important question. Are you planning to put this stadium, and when? And I want to also say that we, the taxpayers of Union County, have a right to know as well as to vote. A decision of this magnitude needs to be voted on by all taxpayers in the 21 counties. Rawway is just one of those communities. So we have a right to vote on this. It is, after all, our park. That's
Thank
it.
you very much for your comments. Next person wishing to speak. I will say, if those of you who wish to stick around after the meeting, I know last meeting people left before the freeholders had an opportunity to speak. If you stick around, the freeholder board may have an answer to one of those questions or a few of those questions. I know some of those questions were answered last time by the board, but everyone left. All right. Next speaker, please.
My name's Gregory Robrecht. I live in Elizabeth. I came to the freeholders meeting on September 24th. I stayed to the end of the meeting to hear the freeholders' closing comments. I would like to address some of them now. While commenting on the opposition to the freeholders' plans for Rawway River Park, Freeholder Hudak said, "I suppose one of the reasons people were able to attract attention to this program in a negative way was it started with the initial decision to say, hey, let's mischaracterize the project and refer to it as a stadium. Because, hey, I live in the 10th Ward in Linden. If I knew MetLife Stadium was being built in Rawway River Park, I'd be advocating against it as well." Those are the words of Freeholder Hudak. I was born in Newark in 1951. My family moved to Hillside in 1955, and I've lived in Union County ever since, 60 years. As a kid, we lived in Hillside. I played Pop Warner football, and we played our games on Sunday at Hillside High School's football stadium on Coney. It's still there. Hillside beat Pingree there last Saturday. If you ride down Conant Street, you'll see the sign, Woodfield Stadium. It was a stadium 50 years ago. It's a stadium today. Where does Westfield High School play its football games? Keller Stadium, named after the legendary coach Gary Keller. Freeholder Hudak lives in Linden. Where does the Linden High School team play its football games? Tiger Stadium. But I suppose if Tiger Stadium was built in Warren-Acre Park instead of on West Curtis Street, you couldn't call it Tiger Stadium anymore. I have no hesitation in calling what is planned for Rawway River Park a stadium. I want to remind Freeholder Hudak that a facility doesn't have to seat 70,000 and have luxury boxes to be considered a stadium. Vice Chairman Bergen said there will be no loss of open space. He talked about the footprint of the planned facility. The handout given out at the Hamilton Stage meeting shows the footprint of the proposed facility. The problem is, it is a footprint of a facility while it's not in use. We need to see a footprint while a track competition is in progress. We need to see where the shot put, discus, and javelin will be thrown. At the Hamilton Stage meeting, the representative from the engineering firm confirmed that the shot put, discus, and javelin cannot be thrown on the synthetic turf. In the past, I've used the discus event as an example. On a footprint of a facility that's not in use, all you have to show is a discus throwing ring, which is 8 foot 2 inches in diameter. You don't have to show where the 3.5-pound weights will land. On a footprint of a facility that has a track competition in progress, you have to show the discus throwing ring plus a fan-shaped landing swath extending over 220 feet into the natural grass part of the park. Let us see a footprint that identifies all the areas that will be required for shot put, discus, and javelin. And I noticed tonight that the frequently asked question sheet has been updated, and it says, will the project knock out at least one baseball field, possibly 3? The answer is no. The upgraded track and field will not encroach on any ball field. Now, is that taking into a fact ongoing competition? When you're throwing the javelin, can you still say that, or can you only say it when nobody's there? We've never gotten an answer to that. We've never gotten an answer to how it's going to be used. I would suggest people go on YouTube, go look at a shot put event, a discus event, a javelin event, and then the next time you're in Roadway River Park, try to picture where these items are going to be landing. Keep in mind that they can't land on the proposed synthetic turf field.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Pat Moschetti, New Providence. I think it was 2 weeks ago I came to the meeting and I brought up the topic of ex-Governor McGreevey spending his last 4 months in public office, public employment in Hudson County to achieve his 25 years of government service. And then the Hudson County taxpayers will pay his lifetime health benefits because that's where he ended up. I asked, and during my time, what is the situation in Union County? If a person is close to the 25 years of government service and they end up working in Union County, how many days, months, weeks, or years currently on the board, on the books, does that person have to work before they get lifetime benefits and get that from the Union County taxpayers? My question wasn't answered. I would really like to have an answer to that question, because it's, and I guess I can get it somehow, but if you just could say it, it would help a lot for all of us to know. And if it is a small number, I would think that you should look at it again and possibly change it to at least 10 years, which the Hudson County freeholders did after they found out that Mr. McGreevey went through the cracks, and they were aware of his employment after the fact, and then they changed the rules after the fact. So I would just like to know what the procedure is for Union County, and hopefully you would be able to answer it this evening. I'm just bringing up a general observation. Government has a few things it should do and should do well, and other things it probably should not get involved with. And so if you're just looking at Union County, and you should just, take a look at yourselves and think of what you're doing. If you have a certain amount of money and a certain amount of resources and talent, we probably should make sure that public safety is very high regarded, whether it's corrections and prisons and jails, whether it's the sheriff or police officers, or whether it's Homeland Security. Infrastructure, streets, bridges, sewers, water systems, electricity, that type of thing. Make sure you have a good handle on that. Influence over education. You give money to Union County College, are we getting a good result from that? Kane University sits in our county. We have vocational schools which appear to be doing very good, and I applaud you for that. Municipal school districts. Some are good, some are okay, and some are downright terrible. We should be able to influence that, because those are the new people who are going to be the job searchers, the people who are going to be working in Union County. And we need to have people who are skilled, trained, willing, and able to work. You need to make Union County business friendly to attract and to maintain businesses in the county, not to leave the county, not to leave the state, not to leave the country. And that basically means look at the regulations one maybe puts on it. If it's not the county regulations, then influence the state to back off on things that are unnecessary and unruly, that make it difficult for small businesses to operate in this county. Make it homeowner and landlord friendly. That means to minimize taxes so that people can afford to live here and stay here. And so those people who are the givers of the world can have some money to give to the takers of the world. And lastly, you do need some money and talent and resources for safety net for those who are truly in need. So you should be really paying attention to all those. Everything else is a lot of huff and fluff, a lot of things that defocuses you, makes you look at things that you're not really pertaining to. If you put your attention to these things and everything else, just avoid, eliminate,
Thank you very
don't
much
discuss,
for your comments.
we'll be better off.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Good evening, Chair Jolliffe, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, Garwood. Tonight, I actually saw a pattern started rising here that really explains everything that I've been pointing out to you in the past many years, and also the watchdogs with their investigative journalism have been blogging on their watchdog blog. But it seems that you must be against God and against the Lord, as what came out from the residents speaking, and it does make sense that maybe you do embrace the dark side, but you know, that's your decision. I just don't want you guys to be dragging the rest of the 500,000 residents down to wherever it is. So, the stadium. People talked about the stadium, and they've been talking about the stadium for many months now. And I don't know if you're listening. I mean, you stand up here and you say, "Oh yes, we are listening to you," but you can listen to people, but maybe you don't hear them. And that could be a major issue in itself. And just a suggestion, obviously you want to give away a piece of the county land to the town of Rawway. You never did that before to anybody else. So now the county, who's actually the true purpose, as Pat Mochetti mentioned, about taking care of certain things, the infrastructure and such, and taking care of the towns overall, which you're doing. However, you're giving a piece of the property of the county taxpayers and the county residents to Rawway. And probably what you should do is reach out to all 21 towns and ask the town councils to vote on it. Maybe not the people, but since you're doing this for a town of Rawway, then you should have the other 20 towns then vote on it. Maybe that would be fair. People have brought it up to put it on the ballot, but this would actually make more sense since it's a town-related item, not people-related item. Yes, I come to the agenda-setting meetings, and I don't know if this is something new or maybe it's a one-time thing, but the directors were coming up to the podium. They were all lined up, and they looked like kindergarten kids. And all they had to do was hold their hand, I guess, and line up one by one and speak their piece, asking for money, and sit down. These are professional people. I mean, I'm looking at over $1 million worth of salaries, and they were lined up like kindergartners. It looked very foolish. Hopefully, it was just a one-time thing. The next agenda-setting meeting I show up, hopefully it's back to normal where they're sitting, in their chairs, and they do come up one at a time to explain the resolutions on the agenda-setting. Resolutions. So I suggest, I don't know what that was. That was just nutty looking. Now I missed the debate. I'm very sorry, but basically I've been to enough debates where I kind of know exactly where it's going. You trying to justify your $500 million budget, and the issue that I'm bringing up here is that. And this is Pat Mochetti actually approached it. He actually said that, you have certain requisites of a county to do your duties for infrastructure, for justice and jails, influence education, and you seem to be overstepping your bounds. One of the questions that I heard about at the Freeholder debate was wards or districts. Why doesn't the county become wards and districts? That makes perfect sense. We are looking at a county government that has become totally disconnected from the people. Sure, you do things for some of the people, and there are programs for the needy, like Pat Machete mentioned, but you're disconnected from the people. You do things that are totally wrong, more self-serving. I mean, and this is what I've been talking about, where the dark side must be controlling it. But you do such things that are just amazing, wasting money, making sure money goes to certain people's pockets. Sheriff crying, lied to the prosecutors. You pushed him to be sheriff. We had a $335,000 resolution here that the taxpayers paid for some accident of his. And I really seriously want to know why the taxpayers had to pay that. I asked a couple of questions a couple of times. You ignored it, and the only time they really answered, you got to call them a scumbag, I guess, and that way also they turk up and
Thank you
start
very
talking
much
about
for
it,
your
so.
comments.
I'm
Please
done.
have a seat.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you
very
cutting
much.
everybody off as soon as the light goes off.
Thank you very much for
It really
your
makes
comments.
you concerned
Thank
for
you
the residents.
very much for your
Fine.
comments. Please
Thank
have
you very
a seat.
much for what you are.
Please have a seat. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Come in front of the dark side.
When you're not in front of the mic, please don't speak. Say one more thing. Anyone else wishing to be heard? Seeing no one, I'll close that portion of the meeting. We'll start with freeholder comments, and we'll start with freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chairman. Earlier today, I had the pleasure of greeting the new CEO of Atlantic Health Systems with freeholders Granados, Wright, and Vice Chairman Bergen, basically the right side of the dais. We all showed up. Good for us. We wish him luck in his new endeavor. That particular healthcare system operates Overlook Hospital, as well as the emergency room in Union Township. Both are very important, a medical campus and several other facilities. They employ a great number of people, a great number of our residents depend on their services. So it was good to hear from him, hear his vision on how he tends to lead that particular organization, because it is an important one for this community. One of the topics that came up and actually became the topic was something to which I don't think many members of the public are aware, but should be aware, specifically the people of Union County. There is what was recently announced as the Omnia Health Alliance, which will be a tiered network of health insurance that has been created by Horizon Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Horizon, I believe, is the largest health insurer in the state, and about half of the residents of the state are covered by Horizon. This controversial plan will create two tiers of hospital, lumping larger hospitals, many of those into networks, into a first tier, and providing a significant discount so their customers go to those hospitals. Meanwhile, the smallest tier, the second tier, very poorly named second tier, tend to be in urban areas, such as Trinitas Hospital in the city of Elizabeth. That will also include the JFK Health System, which services Plainfield with its emergency room campus there. They will be stigmatized in Tier 2 hospitals. And there will be consequences for the customers in terms of their usage of those facilities. Those facilities, which tend to be Catholic-run institutions, they would be paying about $2,000 more out of pocket for services in those facilities. The effect of this new plan could be devastating to urban areas, specifically the ones in Union County, and causing clientele to have to go to other locations. And I think, Atlantic Health Systems, their venues would be included in the first tier, and I think they're wonderful facilities. But many customers, many consumers, and many residents in Union County depend on the services of the local hospitals and like Trinitas, which is a very important institution, an expanding institution here in the city of Elizabeth. And they may be discouraged for financial reasons from using this important institution, and that's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. This was something that was brought to the legislature, and I actually want to commend our legislative delegation. Senator Lesniak was there, Assemblywoman Keano, Assemblyman Holly, Assemblyman Bramnick, Senator Kane were all there. And you know, one thing they definitely all seem to agree on is that the poor way in which this was rolled out and in which the legislature was advised about it, and the residents have not really been advised about it. It is incumbent upon Horizon, an organization which, by the way, insures the county. And at the moment, this doesn't affect our health insurance, but you know, we just entered into an agreement for self-insurance, and this could potentially be something that affects entities that are insured by Horizon down the road. It is incumbent upon them to come up with a system that does not penalize or put pressure on urban areas and residents of urban areas, on Catholic hospitals, and on working class families. It's wrong. I'll be supporting a resolution next week which will call upon Horizon to delay the rollout of this plan by at least 90 days, and I hope we stand in solidarity with our legislative delegation as they're putting pressure on Horizon to really rethink this proposal. And hopefully that delay will provide an opportunity to get more information and to make sure that these healthcare centers that our residents depend on are properly included in this discussion. So I wanted just to draw attention to that, and there will be a resolution next week. But just hearing some of the comments tonight about the things that county government should be doing, this is why I ran for election. This is why I'm here. We have 500,000 residents here, and issues like this come up all the time, and we will disagree over things. The stadium is a great example, or the park, what's going on at Rollway Park is a great example of that, and that's okay. But this is the purpose of why we're here, and I think it's a good thing. We're going to be able to draw attention to it and make a change and hopefully make a difference for the people in the community of Union County. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Freeholder Granados.
Thank you, Chairman. Freeholder Stroud and I had the pleasure of recently joining Prosecutor Grace Park, a number of elected officials, police agencies, and faith-based community leaders in a conversation about the new body camera program that we're going to be having within Union County, with 8 different municipalities participating, with roughly 550 police officers. The Freeholder Board stands strongly in supporting this resolution and supporting this new pilot program. It'll provide mutual benefit to both urban and suburban communities, and at the same time providing safety and much needed guidance when it comes to situations that police agencies see throughout the county, in both providing services for police officers and the residents of Union County, making sure both sides of the fence are safe. That's it. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Freeholder Wright.
Thank you. Last Wednesday, the Freeholder Board sponsored our first free car fit workshop for seniors at the Garwood First Aid Squad. Car Fit is a national program aimed at helping senior drivers adjust their cars for safety and comfort. I had the pleasure of going through the Car Fit safety check process during the event. A team of trained technicians from the county's public safety department teamed up with AAA to ensure that I fit my vehicle properly. It's a simple checklist that takes about 20 minutes, and the Car Fits program is a great complement to our popular child safety seat inspection program. For more information about the future Car Fits events and to get information about having your child's safety seat inspected, call our public safety department at 908-789-6830. That's at 908-789-6830.
Thank you. Freeholder Kowalski.
Thank you, Chairman. One of the speakers mischaracterized a resolution that I put forward, and let me just share some of the information from this resolution with you to clear it up. For 99 years, Planned Parenthood has provided vital, life-saving health services to millions of women across the country. For many women, Planned Parenthood is the only choice, both for gynecological and reproductive health services that they can afford. Some of the services provided by Planned Parenthood include life-saving cancer screenings, breast exams, contraception, and testing and treatment for sexually transmitted infections. Each year, 2.7 million women, men, and teens use services from Planned Parenthood. More than 90% of those services are preventive and for education, and over half of those patients received services through Title X, the program that helps fund family planning nationwide. According to a study by George Washington University, defunding Planned Parenthood would mean the loss of affordable and accessible contraceptive services and counseling, as well as breast and cervical cancer screenings and testing and for treatment for sexually transmitted infections. So I think it is actually the majority of the people across this country that support providing health care for women by Planned Parenthood and other organizations, and it is rather the small group of extremists within the House of Representatives who are out of step with this, most of them Republicans. So that is that's why I brought forward this resolution, because there was so much controversy provoked by some fraudulent video that was brought by some people who were not very honest, in my opinion. So let me talk about the county clerk's services. We all know we've got an election coming up, and County Clerk Joanne Rajapi introduced a new design for the vote-by-mail ballot. The vote-by-mail ballots resemble the format of the sample and official machine ballots very closely, and the aim is to make the election process as clear and straightforward as possible. So any registered voter can apply for and use a vote-by-mail ballot for any reason, and you can download an application form at the county clerk's website, ucnj.org/countyclerk. There's also a video explaining how you fill out the application for a ballot, and of course, if you have any questions, you can call 908-527-4996. And if you have recently moved to Union County or have moved within the county and changed addresses, you do need to re-register to vote, and the deadline for that is October 13th. I'd like to also thank our Adopt a Park volunteers who have, especially the students from Kane University Center for Leadership and Service and from the Conservation Biology class. Among other projects, they've recently put in long hours in Echo Lake Park, helping to improve a shoreline restoration project. And I'd also like to thank the many volunteers who have come out to help keep the wildflower meadow in Warrenenko Park free of invasive plants. That meadow has become a thriving habitat for butterflies and other valuable pollinators, as well as birds. So even though we're heading into some cold weather, our volunteers keep working throughout the year, and hundreds of people join Adopt a Park every year. So I encourage people interested in preserving our parks to get in touch with our Parks Department through our website, or call 908-789-3683, 789-3683. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Freeholder Mirabella.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to report on the Kids Recreation Trust Fund. And all of you know, and I want to highlight for the public, since 2004, the Kids Recreation Trust Fund has helped to refurbish and build more than 100 parks and other recreational facilities throughout our county. As many of you know, the Kids Rec Trust Fund is part of the Union County Open Space, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Trust Fund, which was approved overwhelmingly by popular referendum 15 years ago. As a result of this strong support for public recreation, the trust fund has helped our local governments expand their programs and preserve our historic treasures throughout Union County, even during the lean times after the 2008 global financial crisis. This afternoon, I had the pleasure of meeting in Fanwood with Vice Chairman Bergen and the local officials there, the mayor and the council members in my hometown of Fanwood, to break ground on a new special project happening in Fanwood at Forest Road Park, a new skateboard park. This skate park is a great addition to the recreational opportunities for young people and those young at heart here in Union County. And I'm very proud that our Kids Rec Trust Fund was instrumental in bringing this to fruition. I look forward to the ribbon cutting and seeing the enjoyment at the skate park. A couple other things, Mr. Chairman. One, as many of you know, we're about to enter the Columbus Day weekend and some festivities. I want to highlight for all of you for what's coming up. This Monday is Columbus Day, and I want to invite everyone to our 7th annual Columbus Day flag raising event held outside the county courthouse tomorrow. This event came up about 6 years ago in 2009 as a way of celebrating the many positive contributions that Italian Americans have made to America. And we've partnered with Unico chapters in Union County to mark this holiday. I want to thank Seb Delia for all his help, and has been really instrumental in driving this program. It's a wonderful event, and I hope people will come out to join us tomorrow. This year, we invited Paula Maida Mooney, a friend of ours from Summit, and the wife of Councilman Rich Madden, who will be our guest speaker and a noted author, and talk about her new book, My Father's Last Meatballs, A Heavenly Entree. It's a terrific book, and I hope people will go out and pick it up. But she'll be here to talk about this book, her connection to the Italian culture, and her connection to the founding of the first Columbus Day. So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. I hope people will join us. And I just want to say on behalf of Freeholder Hudak and Vice Chairman Bergen that we're about to enter a very special time this weekend as well as Met fans. And you're the other two Met fans on this board that I no, don't. Sorry, this doesn't happen much, so I definitely want to take 2 seconds of the time of this board to say we're going to enjoy it. I know that we'll be watching, and we wish the Mets luck as they move toward the World Series. And I'm sorry to the Yankee fans, but you have enough championships. Let us have a chance. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I may have missed it, but the flag raising tomorrow is at 1 p.m. I'm not sure if
1 p.m.
the Freeholder said that, but it's 1 p.m. tomorrow. I do want to address a couple of the comments concerning the refurbishing of the football field, because there were some questions about some of my comments. I'm certainly not going to address what I think are the absurd comments by Mr. Patterson, but I will address some of those that I think are given in good faith. One of them, which I found to be interesting, was pointing out certain other football fields in the county that are called stadiums. And quite frankly, that's really semantics, because I could point to the Memorial Field in Cranford, which is called a field, not a stadium, but is far in excess in size of that which is being refurbished and put into Roy Park. So that's really just semantics, but the size of what we're putting in there is what it is. And it's my belief, and it's obviously just my opinion, that the use of the word stadium is somewhat misleading to people who don't know the details about what's being put in there, in light of the fact that there's already a football field, there's already a track. Enough said about that. On the question of the word footprint, in my experience, the word footprint is really a term of art, in the sense that it doesn't include the activity, but it includes the part of the ground that a building or a field affects. And that's why when I talk about the footprint, I don't include the javelin, I don't include the discus. I really think that when you play baseball, the outfield, certainly at the fields we have at our parks, don't have fences. So the footprint of of the baseball field doesn't really have anything to do with where the ball might go if it's hit well. So I think that my statements concerning the footprint of the refurbishment of the field is accurate, though I understand the point being made by the person making the comments. And other than that, I think I'm fully on the record of my position on what we're doing there, so I'm not going to repeat that. I do want to mention a couple of other items. Mr. Moschetti talked about what he believes are appropriate functions of the county, and I believe that there are functions that the county properly serves that go well beyond what Mr. Moschetti talked about, and in particular concerning recreation. And I do want to point out that two of the types of recreation that the county provides to our citizens are by way of our ice skating center at Warrenaco, as well as the Watchung Stables up in the Watchung Reservation. And it's my belief that those are two recreational functions that no individual municipality could ever afford or have the space to build, and therefore it is appropriate and certainly needed for the county to do that. And in fact, that's why the county is moving ahead with plans to refurbish and expand both of those locations. That by doing so, it will allow more of our citizens to take advantage of the ice skating rink as well as the stables. The stables will become a year-round activity, which will also make them more economically feasible. So again, there are many things that this county does that I think are appropriate. Recreation is one of them, and I'm proud that we are going ahead with expanding and refurbishing both of those two activities. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any comments from the county council?
No comments, Mr.
County manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just very quickly, there's so many activities going on in the fall season. I'd just like to urge the public to visit our website at unioncounty.ucnj.org. There are so many things for you, for all members of your family throughout the fall months. So we encourage you to check out our website. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to also urge those speakers who come to the Freeholder meeting to please adhere to the 5-minute time limit. I do not like to, and I don't think any past chairman has liked to ask someone to please step away from the microphone and speaking. Please, it's a rule that everyone applies to and abides by, and I don't see why any one or two speakers deem it appropriate for them to be an exception to that rule. Furthermore, I don't think that name calling is appropriate. I've been called a scumbag twice. I don't think, well, it's been referenced more than once. To me, that doesn't help get the point across that you're trying to make anymore. To me, it's somewhat juvenile. You might as well be calling me a poopy head because it's just juvenile to me. And it really disvalidates to me the rest of what is said. Excuse me, I don't interrupt you when you speak. It's my turn now. Please allow me the opportunity to speak. I can argue most of the points that you make up here, but I don't. I give you the opportunity to speak. So please don't. It's all about respect, and I haven't even mentioned the speaker by name and have not done so my entire time up here. And that is my gesture of respect, and I ask for the same. And if I don't get it, all I can do is ask. With regard to Rawway Park, a statement was made about the freeholders not listening or not hearing. And I disagree with that. In fact, the word is disagree. Just because people don't agree with you doesn't mean they're not listening or not hearing to what you said. There has been various meetings where numerous people have got up here to speak before the board, and they have in fact stood in line at one point or another to speak before the board as to their respective positions. I have considered it. I can't speak on behalf of the entire board, but I know for myself, living very near and within probably 200 feet of a, I guess, stadium by the definition of the speaker here today, but I would call a field, you know, that I've made the decision that this is something that I would support going forward. This is consistent with what the county has been doing in other places, and it's something that I am going to support. People who approach me and, you know, continuously state facts that I disagree with, there's really no ability for us to argue if we disagree on a fact. If I'm telling you something's 2 foot and you're saying that it's 1 foot, and I tell you, well, it's 2 foot, and you tell me that it's 1, then we're just gonna go back and forth, and I choose not to engage in that conversation much longer. So I'm saying my perspective or my position as other freeholders have made theirs in the past. With that, I just want to commend Public Works Department, our facilities, for their preparation for the pending hurricane. Although we dodged a bullet and did not have to deal with the ramifications of another storm, the preparation was there, and I don't think the residents saw that, and I'm glad the residents didn't have to see that, but I saw it, and I knew all the work that was being done behind the scenes to prepare us and put us in a better position, and I believe that we are in a better position now than we were then to handle something of this occurrence, and I just want to commend all the county staff who put in hard work to make sure that our residents would have been safe in this time. So with that, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any opposed? I mean, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, meeting adjourned.